Reddit. What's the weirdest and most NSFW thing that happened when you were at school? NSFW. In high school, I had a friend who was legally blind, not completely blind, but his vision's bad enough that he got a guide dog in college. Our junior year, he was dating a freshman chick and one day, they end up banging in the drama room. Eventually, the school board finds out and tries to expel him. He gets off with a suspension after his lawyer creates the defense that, because he was blind, he couldn't drive her somewhere else to have a sex with her. So to expel him for this would be expelling him because he is blind. Best lawyer ever. When I was a junior in high school, my math teacher, who was in his late 50s early 60s, came to class drunk. He started attempting to lecture us about limits but instead ended up pissing himself. Then he thought it would be a good idea to take his pants off and continue lecturing. The police were called shortly after and he was obviously fired. One guy bet another that he could not pee into the first guy's pocket without laughing. Turns out he couldn't. During homecoming dance at my high school in Maryland, this girl was grinding on her date. Either she was very good at manipulating her ass, or this dude had no experience with the ladies. I guess she got him all good and worked up to the point where he was going to blow his load, not wanting to come in his pants. He decides to do the only other rational thing. He whipped his D out and came all over the chick's back. She ran out of the room screaming, and he went and hid. None of the other high school dances I went to ever lived up to that one. Edit. For all those asking, it was John F. Kennedy in Silver Spring. One time, I heard a student bet another student €10 to switch the positions of his testicles, and he actually did it. Had to undergo surgery because the sperm cables entangling one another cut the oxygen in his blood from traveling to his D and literally turned them blue. Freshman year of high school, two juniors tried to give me a swirly after gym. We had all just showered and they thought it would be an opportune time. I had wrestled for 5 years prior and we just ended up rolling around naked. We stopped when we realized everyone was pointing, calling us fags, and our cocks were touching each other. We never heard the end of that one. Middle school gym teacher would go around after class smelling everyone's jock straps to make sure that we had been wearing them. Weirdest. When I was a freshman in high school, the seniors put a dead deer in the cafeteria ceiling. Originally they wanted to hang it in the senior area but they couldn't because of motion sensor smoke alarms, so they put it in garbage bags in the ceiling of the cafeteria. They did this on a Friday night during the Battle of the Bands. Monday morning people were sitting in the cafeteria and noticed something dripping from the ceiling. It was deer blood. We got out of a day and a half of school because they had to get the Board of Health to clear the cafeteria to serve food. TLDR. Seniors put a dead deer in the cafeteria ceiling as their senior prank. Most NSFW. A guy brought a bag of dildos to school and put one in the milk fridge. Watching the teacher on duty take it out with a horrified and embarrassed look on her face was pretty hilarious. I was in my high school cafeteria when a mentally challenged girl began to beat the tar out of her special education teacher, then proceeded to strip completely naked and run through the halls. In high school someone took her it in one of the hallways every day for about a week. Nobody knew who was itting or when they would strike. The whole school started referring to this person as the Phantometer. The location of the its varied from day to day, and was once smeared across like 3 lockers. A kid smoked a bowl in class one time in high school. He just sat in the back corner, it was like a 30-person room, and tightened his hood over his face like Kenny from South Park and smoked away. Oblivious teacher. In about 1998 2 kids charged money for tickets to watch them screw in the bathroom at our public high school. That's one for the old memory. When I was in 8th grade, age 13-14, a guy was suspended for jacking off in class on 2 separate occasions in the same teacher's classroom both times. The first time, it was because he had his D out. Somehow no one noticed, and he came all over his shirt pants and asked if he could go clean himself up. He hadn't yet put his D away. The second time, the teacher caught him with his hand down his pants. Another time, in 10th grade, age 15-16, I called a guy out for jacking it in class, and he pulled his D out and threatened to hit me across the face with it. I told him that it wasn't much of a threat. He stood up to, I don't know, confront me or something. and thus had his semi-erect D on display for the class. The teacher saw. He was suspended. etc. He blamed me for the rest of high school and attempted to hit me with his truck twice. Not really NSFW, but a kid at my high school wrapped duct tape around a cookie, put a magnet in it with a wire sticking out. He then proceeded to tape the thing on the bathroom wall. Well, long story short, the administration thought it was a bomb, evacuated the school, and called the bomb disposal squad. The kid was expelled and was then put on the FBI watch list. A high school classmate had a very severe form of cerebral palsy, wheelchair bound and required his own aide who rarely left his side. He also had an extremely salty personality. Whenever something made him mad, a fellow classmate, a teacher, his aide, etc., he would purposely eat his pants. Let's see. My freshman year of high school, one of our Spanish teachers got caught fapping to some sort of porno by a student during lunch hour. Needless to say, he was fired. The teacher even looked like a pedo, so I wasn't surprised. Also, during my senior year, the school started playing music 1 minute before you had to be in class in hopes of combating tardiness. So what did someone do? They got into the secretary's office and swapped out the CD and the CD player for it with a CD of porn sounds. So a minute before 5th period, we were greeted with the sound of a woman moaning and basically saying, "Oh God, duck me. I wish I knew who pulled that one off so I could shake their hand." Not weirdest or most NSFW, but in year 7 when I was 12 years old, I remember this one girl who was known for being a slut. How slutty can someone be in year 7? Who knows? Brought a condom into music class and started playing with it, sucking on it, blowing it up, and at one point she even slapped the teacher in the face with it. You could get away with anything if you had that teacher. She was a woman who had very clearly spent years of her life tripping some serious balls, and was left as a nice, quiet middle-aged woman who would, after enough provocation by the class, go apoplectic for a minute or two, then sob quietly in front of the class apologizing. Kids are brutal. I always felt sorry for that teacher. Full stop. Edit 2. I'm pretty sure this is my highest scoring comment ever. Thanks everyone. I've told this before. A kid did this in my middle school math class, but it was because he hated the teacher. Played some pocket, came on his hand, walks up to our teacher and goes high five MRS. Teacher lady. She gives him a high five and gets jizz all over her hand. Realizes what it is and actually played it pretty cool. Sent him out, washed her hand, and he got suspended for 2 weeks. After school, this freshman got $100 for having a senior take it on his chest. The senior got busted and was expelled a few weeks before graduation. Football coach sent naked photos to 1. The entire football team. 2. The whole school faculty. 3. Every person in the school's mailing list. We had several incidents, such as when boy masturbated in politics class and stood up as he came. The worst has to be when we found out about the girls' toilets. The girls' toilets contained used tampons stuck to the wall in what became known as the red wall. One of my friends gave a blowjob to a guy in the girls' bathroom. While she was doing it, teacher walked in and heard 2 kids in the handicap stall. She told them to come out and marched them right to the office. I think they both got like 3 days ice. Most NSFW is definitely back in middle school. This kid took the school's trend too far, which was being forced to sexually harass someone if you got a X drawn on your palm with a pen. Yeah, so this weird methodica, Simon, ended up raping this girl in my class after cornering her during recess. Simon got jumped after class and ended up hospitalized. Almost a dozen students got suspended for it. He was an unpopular kid, and like I said, weird. She attempted suicide and supposedly moved to another state. Duck you, Simon. I was getting a handy under the table in the library when one of the librarians walked up saying, "Did you hear a plane hit the World Trade Center?" Will never forget where I was when that happened. A kid in my class would jerk off in class every day. He would do it for 30 minutes at a time. Teachers even confronted him about it, but he still wouldn't stop. Boy chopped off his tongue with safety scissors. Teacher's car outside the window was being stolen, so he ran out with the broom and beat up the robbers. B was pretty cool. Teacher told us stories of the giraffe that lived under the stairs and scared the children to the point of diarrhea. He even made the noises. School nurse gave a boy several injections into the bum as a punishment, although this was only a rumor. I think that's about it. I feel as though my middle school experiences were way worse than high school or college. In 6th grade, during a standardized test, my friend threw a pen on the ground to get my attention. I look over at her and she points towards the desk in front of me with a look of utter disgust. This guy pulls his hand out of his pants and this whitish clear substance is dripping from it. He then does the very last thing I expected, he licked it off. Okay, well, I guess smearing it on another person's face would have been the last thing I expected. But the reality was a close second. An 11-year-old, who looked considerably older considering how she developed, told 21-year-old she was 19 and ended up pregnant. In 8th grade, my friend decided that it was time for her to lose her virginity because she didn't want to be a loser. WTF. So she proceeded to just have a sex with a random guy. This random guy was not Don, which pissed Don off. He got so mad that in the middle of math class they got into an argument and he decided to scream. You is disgusting. I mean, look at you. Everybody knows your pussy is up for sale. So she nonchalantly walked over to our teacher's desk, grabbed the scissors, and stabbed him in the neck. Edit. Grammar. Edit 2. Don survived. Our teacher grabbed her just as she lunged forward so she got him. But nothing too serious, other than a cut in the side of the neck. Freshman year in high school. Swimming in gym class. 3 seniors got caught having sex in the locker room and got suspended for a month. 2 kids started having sex in the middle of class. The girl was sitting on top of the guy slowly moving up and down. There was also countless times when guys would jack off during class too. One lad whacked one out in the back of history class to a film about Anne Frank. During class, one time, a bunch of tiles fell off the ceiling and hit some of the students. I was hit too, in the head. That's pretty NSFW. At our homecoming assembly, the school mascot, Polar Bear, kept humping students and rubbing its bare tits in front of the entire school. Source: I was that school mascot. We had a special education program in my high school that kids from all over the state went to. Although kind of sad, there were a few stories that came from that. One kid somehow found a freshly used bloody tampon and flung it onto one of the chalkboards. It was stuck there when my class walked in. This other guy was deaf and would screech like a raptor every time he would be in the bathroom. You could hear him from down the hallway. This one poor girl could not stop itching her crotch. Not sure if she had a condition down there or something. The kids in my high school were relentless and made the special ed kids' lives a living hell. It was sad to watch. On a lighter note, my friend thought it would be a good idea to chug a bottle of cough syrup before school. Ended up stumbling to the front of our Spanish class and puking into the garbage can. The teacher had me escort him to the nurse while she took the class out for fresh air. Apparently there was a dead squirrel on the picnic table outside, which didn't help the situation. God, I hated high school. Edit. Spelling. We caught our teacher watching porn in class when we were doing a test. Freshman year. This girl that sat next to me used to lick my stuff. iPad, pencils and pens. Not my stuff down there, though. One time in math class we were having our unit test. Dead silence the first hour, the time it took the majority of the class to finish their tests. I'm still trying to finish when I hear 2 girls sitting near me laughing hysterically. My first thought, being a completely insecure 10th grader, that they were laughing at me. I was trying to figure out if it was my BO, or if someone stuck a note on my back while I was writing the test, and whatever horrible things my mind could think of. It got to the point where I finished my test and everyone, literally everyone, was dying of muffled laughter. I got the courage to ask one of the kids what the laughter was about, and they just pointed to the math teacher bending over a student's desk, answering a question. He was wearing a thong. I got a hand job from a janitor. When I was 14, a strange kid at the grammar school opposite mine took someone's pencil, went to the toilet, shoved it up his ass and then put it back in the guy's pencil case. The guy responded by taking his pencil case and eating in it. This all happened in the course of a geography lesson. Needless to say, I never really got along with the boys at that school. In high school I went to the restroom to drop a bomb, and while I'm doing my business somebody walks in the restroom. Seems like a normal occurrence, right? Nope. This guy walks up to the door to the stall I'm in and proceeds to ask me to let him into the stall and let him suck my D. At this point I'm thinking, whoa dude, you're ducked up. So I tell him to duck off and that there is no way in hell I'm letting you do that. He continues to plead with me on how much he wants to suck my D. Now I am freaked out. I thought he was going to crawl under the door at this point. Luckily someone else walked in and the guy left. I finished up and got the hell out of there as fast as possible. TLDR. I go to the restroom to it. Some guy really wants to give me a BJ. I tell him to duck off. He doesn't. Some stranger comes in, saving me. The guy wanting to suck me off leaves. I finish dropping my fudge dragon and get the duck out. When I was a junior in high school about 5 years ago, some dude stripped naked and doused himself in grapeseed oil. He then proceeded to run through our cafeteria naked, helicoptering in female students' faces. When our school's police officer showed up, public school, they were unable to tackle him due to the slipperiness of his oil-covered skin. So they tasered him in front of everyone. The best part, this made national headlines and Fox even did a story. Must have been a slow news week. Edit, link. Oh, I remembered another story after reading someone else's in this thread. In 6th grade in MRS Bradstreet's class, this black girl that was ghetto and everyone disliked asked to use the bathroom. The teacher had told her no, but she wasn't having it. So she got on top of the teacher's desk and dropped her pants and urinated all over the entire desk. Needless to say that got her expelled from school, and 19 years later I will still think about it from time to time and laugh. My vice principal in high school was in her 4th or 5th month of her pregnancy when some disgruntled student punched her in the belly. She went in to have the baby checked and it was dead. She had to give birth to a stillborn because some arsehole kid decided he wanted to be a rebel. I've told this story before and no one believed me, but there was a rumor that one of the youngish science teachers used to be a porn star. She was really hot. I think fresh out of teacher training. Anyway, one day some guy comes in with a picture of her with cum all over her face. That confirmed that it wasn't just a rumor. I got a blowjob in the girls' bathroom, and some kids during homecoming got thrown out for straight up having sex instead of just grinding. In my high school we had the hot dog twins. Basically, they tried getting themselves off with cafeteria hot dogs and one had to be taken to the doctor when part of a hot dog got stuck up inside her. I listened through the whole lecture. I was having sex with my BF in high school in one of those one-room bathrooms on the 2nd floor. Not a stalled bathroom. Door had a lock. There was a frosted window that looked out at a parking lot that I was apparently too close to, because after we were done, we met some friends outside who said they could see the blurry outlines of us doing it. To our ignorance, it was pretty embarrassing, considering that particular bathroom was known for being dark well, a communal duck spot, to put it bluntly. These two girls were having a whispered fight in class when we were in year 10. It was escalating pretty quickly, like, they started pinching each other underneath the table so the teacher wouldn't clock on. Then, out of nowhere one of the girls screamed, "You ducking itch," and ripped the girl's tongue piercing out. There was blood all over my book. In grade 9, a girl apparently removed and put in a new tampon, all during class. When I was in 7th grade, an 8th grader slashed his wrists during the middle of school with a pencil sharpener and was taken to the hospital. When I was in the 4th grade there was a fight club in the bathroom. Apparently a kid got the idea from the movie and every day after lunch, around 15-20 boys would go to the bathroom and beat the it out of each other. The best part was they wouldn't talk about it to anyone who wasn't in their club, and the only way I found out was when I went to take a crap after lunch. Good times. School in a neighboring county to mine recalled all of the yearbooks because they unknowingly published a picture of prom in which a guy in the background was lifting up his girlfriend's dress and penetrating her from behind. Sweat to God. In 3rd grade a guy I know mooned everyone in class while the teacher stepped out. He got caught. Not at school. But this one chick was notorious for being a slut. One day she was with a mutual friend and her boyfriend and had a webcam up for her boyfriend at the time. He told her to go over to the bed and straddle the bedpost. She did and got stuck. 8th grade. Do high school dances count? One guy had a million tabs open on his school computer and was caught watching hentai. It was hilarious. Another guy in my homeroom was caught jerking it in the school bathroom. 8th grade, some guy had to pee and was denied to go by the teacher. He whipped it out and peed in a bottle he had. Not NSFW, but senior year I witnessed a rain dance. A bunch of jocks were pounding a rhythmic beat on the tables and going out of the beat. All of a sudden one guy jumps on the table and starts dancing for a brief moment before being escorted out of the cafeteria. Witnessed a guy in my 8th grade homeroom seduce another girl, who was friends with his girlfriend, in note form to prove to his girlfriend that she was a lying jealous itch. Apparently they were going to have a sex in the bathroom near Mr. Goebel's room, but it obviously didn't happen. It was just stupid middle school it in my opinion. Edit. Formatting is hard.